Well, good morning as we're sitting here at LTV on this beautiful morning, Friday morning, July 19th, year 2024, here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi. Continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that's been on the air since 1980. And of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty, Francis Ann, and then, of course, the likes of you out there that is to enhance and fortify this concept called public access. And every day, actually, it's like I was trying to think actually in terms of what is this, what do we consider as a special day? And actually, I should do this here. And and I realized that actually every day is a special day here. Every day is a special day indeed, and we find ourselves in the thick of it because the concept is charged. The concept of public access is a concept, giving you a healthy dose of that which speaks in the name of the things that we like to hear, such as freedom of speech, such as having a stage available in that sense to cater to your expressive needs, and also then you realize that you don't really have to be talented or uh, someone who can you know um, execute well that which that which eloquently turns your thoughts into an effective um, source of interaction. And of course I cannot help myself but thinking, feeling, experiencing that feeling every time I come here to LTV, which happens to be now, I dare say, 37 years. It's how long the totality of my engagement with this wonderful concept, with this wonderful station called LTV here at the east end of Long Island. So the expansion is not something that we, at first I was a little intimidated by it. The concept of having that at your at your disposal, and and that and that you can put it to use so almost abruptly, so immediately, so instinctively, and the extension of that attempt will translate itself into your voice being heard. Now you know what? In this day and age, to have your voice uh, heard, being heard, is a big deal. You know, like the other day. I mean, I don't do politics. I don't I don't engage in interactions concerning who's going to be the president or who loves who dislikes who. A complete, utterly waste of time. Even though if I would have had anything, nothing better to do, maybe probably I'll find in myself engaging in politics and all this. But I can't help myself. I do Instagram, I do Facebook very moderately. But the other day, someone that I know, I dare say maybe a friend, posted something that was so absolutely inaccurate and so absolutely preaching indirectly that I couldn't resist myself and I responded. But I responded in an informative way. I googled things to make sure that what I knew to be wrong was wrong and what I knew to be right was right, and indeed that was the case. And I got a really nasty. Well, I'm not even so sure that even the person who sent it knew that it was nasty, because it's so embedded within the system of people to resent and to dislike and to disagree which is an okay thing, but there's a way to do it, really, actually. But they're in such a position where they don't know the extent of their aggression, of contempt, feelings of contempt. I mean, like, how do you get to a point where you have feelings of contempt towards someone? I mean, someone that probably you don't even know, and if you know that person so mildly that you cannot form these kind of extensive um, feelings that will amount to become something that is pretty poisonous, Um, I basically, let's see what I have here. I don't even know what I have here. Yes, the the I always want to translate what it is that otherwise I could have done with my time. It's just like here when I have some interviews with people that I hardly know, met or know anything about, and I can always develop an interview that happens to be an interaction or a conversation that you can, do if you believe in that, if you know that this fact in itself serves your purpose, then you don't need to do research. And I don't say that I don't want to know a thing or two about the person I'm just about to interview, but there's some people who would want to work against you, even though they would need to do exactly the opposite, because if they want to come through as looking good on the screen and people would appreciate the kind of interaction and form some respect, then the other person should behave himself or herself. But you will be amazed to what extent some people will work hard, knowingly and unknowingly, directly or indirectly, to cause you to fail. And you know what? At first, I thought maybe I'm imagining, maybe it's just too much, too far fetched. But the more I examined it, the more I put it to the test of reality, the more I realized I'm right, unfortunately. And therefore, I developed my ability to discourage people from doing that without them knowing that that's what I'm doing. So my source of intimidation would be, I can ask you a question that you wouldn't be able to answer because you wouldn't be able to understand to understand. Okay. Oh, yeah. What is it here now? Are we going to do this again? Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't think this is working. one, 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 uh, one, 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 one. Oh boy. Okay, this should be okay, I guess. No, yeah. Hello, hello, hello. Ay, 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 ay. Yeah. What are we doing here? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. What? What? One. No, what's going on here? Okay, I'm so sorry that I have to go through that, but it's just not responding the way it's supposed to respond. I don't know what to say. Uh, okay. Oh boy. Hello, 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 hello. One, 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 one. Okay, that's good. One, one. Okay, I guess it's working now. Okay, let's see. One, one, one. Okay, that's this. And this. One. This was good just a second ago. I'm so sorry that I have to go through that, but anyway, one. Okay, that's good. One, 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 one. Let's see. Is this good? Oh boy. Oh boy. One, 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 one. Okay, I think I should not even breathe. So yeah, this is again. I'm so sorry about the pause, but something was wrong here. So here I wanted to say to myself, okay, I'm going to find a way to prove to myself that I can make something meaningful out of anything, even something that's potentially carries some aspect of derailment within it, where you would find yourself challenged while you're trying to unnecessarily, actually, I should add, while you can just like find yourself interacting positively and constructively, but still uh, people out there, they bring. I mean, those who are not trained well, and I dare say the word trained because if you this is something that you have no knowledge of how to operate it, you can only experiment, and it would be very wise to take under consideration that you more likely than not will fail or will not succeed unless you read the manual and unless you become acquainted with what it is what it takes in order to actualize and to make it function and work. The so I always wanted to take the lessons that reality wants to teach me, and to ride together with it into some kind of constant fruition where I can recite and where I can indulge in the moment that gives me so much joy and so much and for that sake I have that kind of aspect um, uh, uh, of yeah, that's actually correct in that sense. Here we go. Yeah. So explaining to myself the ritual behind the moment that expands. And at first, even though it's extremely obvious, or should be at least obvious, you don't really notice this process of expansion. And I keep on saying expansion and expanding is because it has to go somewhere other than where it is. And it doesn't have to be really somewhere that will, you see the numbers going up and giving you an indication that you're making money or that you're prevailing and the numbers are beefing up and you're doing just fine and you can just the only thing you can do is just continue to do what you're doing. So so I would construct something and take use that as a point of reference. So it's like almost as if I was to say to write a poem that consisted of 55 words, and then make it happen that each word will be a source for a poem. So you got 55 poems within the poem that consists of 55 words, something like that. And you believe me or not, but I succeeded so much um, in uh, uh, to reach this kind of, I call it the dwelling depth. That's what I call it. The, the I'm not kidding you. This is real, actually. The dwelling depth, uh, and you accusing that dwelling depth that it missed your presence. That means it's a gentler way to say that you're actually ignoring me. So you missed the turn, so to speak, in all this. And But thank God that you're the kind of person that you are, that you can always tell that love is hovering over the uh, an unknown source, that is almost like a towering giant, something to that extent. And for every moment of it, you really need a moment of respite where um, uh, it's like a timely breath, uh, where uh, you know uh, that you can actually, if you feel that love, you can take it to the scale and weigh it and measure the extent of if the way you feel is actually an accurate way according to what it has to offer on the surface. um, and um, the harsh reality, where the day meets the night, is something that really awakens a bunch of chunky reservations, where you know that no matter what face they bring along with, you have to address it, and addressing it is not something necessarily. This is always like a softness, like a gentle touch on hardened ground, um, and it's like a hidden drive. It's like a whisper. All these wonderful means of expression that guarantees you the erection of the or formation of the next poem, and also enhancing, emphasizing its importance, over and over again, and and repeating the obviousness behind it. So it's it's like, dreaming like a beggar, and which is actually can be a great title for a poem, dreaming like a beggar. And uh, testing life's course, something to that extent. And you and you allowed to wonder, and this wondering is uh, is wondering about a source that happens to be a silenced source, cold-blooded yet calm, and and we find ourselves weaving in the chaos that's actually taking place. And that chaos is really not necessarily a source to worry. It's a source to be reassured that indeed this challenge is there in order to keep us on the alert and to make sure formation, realization, uh, and then of course on top of it something that speaks in the language that gives you the indication that actually maybe you're doing better than you think you're doing. Um, so these strings of descent that are holding us tight, and indeed they are holding us tight uh, in the share embrace of day and night. Even though they're two separate entities, as they kind of feed on one another, and when it comes to knowledge and when it comes to that which is guided by time, uh, we need to hear the voice through which it's using and through which it's calling. When you say calling, actually, you don't really bother too much to think who it is addressing and what it is addressing. Uh, it's like the wilderness, and indeed, this wilderness is. Um, it's like a vision of hope, and this vision of hope is like pretty say now it's your turn, and when you say now it's your turn, is it's time to figure out that you have to do what's right, and that happens to be something that only you can really tell and know about in that sense. Um, it's like about courage and might, and in the center of that chaos that I brought back from something where that surface was just a little too lovey-dovey, so I had to introduce a little chaos into it in order to spruce things up. And it's a celebration. Suddenly, that chaos becomes a celebration, and that celebration is where dreams form and where dream come to life and where dream become the point of reference and something as close as possible that one can imagine to perfection, and brings about to the surface that desire to live, even though again we're talking about obvious things, that sense of desire to live is strong and clear. um and you don't have to really declare that so all can hear. It's almost enough for you to think and feel it, and then maybe it's just an extra if you want to have your voice heard and express it out loud. It won't hurt, but it's not a necessity. So uh, that particular thing is actually burning bright, and it happens to be burning bright in a very in a dark night. So it's all kind of coming together to be like a rare moment that's being sized, and uh, but it's been sized with grace. I love that, actually, how it comes together when you start thinking about it, and um, and then you have to deal with an emotional accuracy, and in that sense, you also this emotional accuracy is about stories that's stories untold. Yeah, like a testimony of love that begins within. Uh, and then those who dare to begin, they're lucky, Lucky those who dare to begin, because then they taste the loneliness and they realize that loneliness is really cheap. It's always on sale. It's always kind of having a, a tempting scenarios that will lure them to maybe contemplate on buying something that they know for sure they don't need. And then from the distance, you see all these notes that are going by and going through unnoticed, which is a little painful. Um, and then the first encounter it triggers, and I what do I want to say? The first encounter triggers what? It triggers a disabling flush, and it brings finality to the fitting season, um, like a proper dress code, always uh, striving to have that sweet moment in your favor. And you grant yourself the presence of mind to pray, to pray for the lifting of accountability. And that's easy maybe for me to sit here and talk about it, but on the surface these things are very complex and challenging, to say the least. So uh, so some indulge in sweeping comforting dreams. It's like a journey. um, they like a process to flush out the allergy. Well, I say, yeah, the allergy and the algae. So, it's like today I spoke to you, and then speaking to you, that carried a voice of that I realized that your voice was carrying a tremble. I wasn't sure it's because I spoke to you, and and I felt like I was surrounded by a sweet draft, like this draft of swift battles. Maybe it's recollections, even though you happen to be the one that I don't recollect and I don't remember, but I took the opportunity to speak to you because you were there, and it was all with sudden twists. Uh, and the word whispering comes to be bared and to be acknowledged. Uh, I'm just trying to rationalize or to clear in my mind the necessity to use the word whisper. It's just brings about to the surface some kind of sweetness of reminiscing, something like that, sweetness of reminiscing. Uh, Testing your brushes against the bushes, something like that. I don't even know what I'm saying. And um, it's like where pilots from hell take flight, something like that. Um, what do I call them? I think I can call them master sessions. Yeah, that sounds accurate enough. And and for some reason, facial recognition becomes like imperative in this scenario. The closer you get into the point where you start measuring your success or triumphing moment by moment, almost like the surrealistic concepts that Andre Breton was trying to put together successfully and did with a small book that changed the world. Then in 1925 or something, 1925, 29. Uh, but do you, if I speak of everything that I did, whether I understand or remember even what I said, is then being blacklisted is actually comes to mind to um, um, eh, cultivating. How do I want to say it? The depth uh, of a plain stream. And because you know the nature of it, I mean, you know the potential, how you know how fast and things can change, how nasty they can become. You know that. So um, um, to be blessed and to be admiring is something that you don't want to overlook. Um, and all that ensues with sensations of delight. Now, amongst that probability, I dare say, amongst that probability, yes, I want to find myself actually being yeah actually being ah, yes, I want to be able to yes, I want to be able to think that indeed it's all why is it like this? Okay, just want to make sure that I'm actually recording here. One. Okay, that's good. Let's see what's going on here. One, 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 one. Actually, that worked until now, and I don't want it to spoil. 32. Okay, let's see. Maybe we have to do it again. One, one, one. Why is it like this there? Why is it like this here? Okay, is that good? Okay. One, 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 one. Okay, here we go. Don't do that to me now. One, one, one. This is like ridiculous. Anyway, I hope it's recording, but I don't hear that it is. Let's continue. Again, I want to do that, and I want to do this. One, 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 one. Ay, 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 ay. Let's just see what's going on here. One, 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 one. Oh boy, I don't know what to say. It's just like I don't like it when it doesn't work. One, 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 one. Yeah. what is it that we're doing now? I'm like, I don't know what to do except for this to try again and again. Uh, yeah, 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 yeah. One, one. Okay, okay. Now why is not working? Yeah, yeah. One, 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 one. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Oh boy. One, one, one. Ah, one, one, one. Need to do this. One, 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 one. One, 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 one. System settings. One, 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 one. Okay. One, one, one. I don't know what to say. Hello, 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 hello. 37 minutes. Okay. I don't know what to say, what to do. I don't know what to do. And that's the. Okay, that's good. Okay. So now here, what we're doing is really, let's get closer here. And sorry about that. It's like, I don't know. Uh, and then we want to, where was I? Did it's the tunnels of well wishers. Want to continue with that? See if I can conclude this session here without any interference of the um, and there's always some terror that is accompanying the concept that leads us to think about what's important to us, and what's important to us is really something that we can decide that is important to us, and for that sake, we maybe want to exhaust the issues more often than not, like a GPS of thoughts and emotions, and spiritual by nature, and even maybe a bit of laughter, just for good measure. And again, going back to whispers and things that are being softened by whispers. This is like a quiet promise. It's the quiet promise. Yes, it's the quiet promise. I love it when it's actually coming this way. That is the quiet promise, and 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 nothing stands in its way. That is because it's a singular event. And setting in, like with a sweet memory, uh, freshly etched on the surface that I cannot really describe because it has so much give and take and um, it's like an artistic sequel, universal. What do I want to say? Controversy. Yes. Um, you know how sometimes when you seek so much and you're so close, but you're getting nowhere because there's no direction, and you want, well, again, that you understand what it's all about within, yes, but you're not quite sure what it is that you have to do in order for it to work every time you engage or you um, um, it's like meeting desperation with forgiveness, and that is a lot to be said because the word whispers again comes into that equation of really like the value of humming in the face of your disability to sing, something like that, because everyone can hum but not everyone can sing. It's and then it becomes a poignant memory, and that poignant memory is really uh, like I mentioned before, freshly etched, and that means on the surface that it's uninterrupted. Uh, that that much closer to uh, sanctuary, uh, and yeah, and I would like to think it's the 11th hour, and not the. Is it accurate to say the 11th or the 12th or the 10th or the 11th hour? I go the 11th hour. Um, I and then all causes become sacred, and that's a point where I would try to shy away from a continuation because really it doesn't speak in the language that I think that we need to go to the extent that we need to go in order to understand that this is important or understand that this carries a punch or carries some value and therefore and uh, it's almost like a grave digger, unexpected uh, the laminated tongue. I don't even know why I said that, but it just sounds like right. As conversing in a laminated tongue, something like that. I don't even know. Uh, being blacklisted by Mother Nature. I don't even know why I said that, but it just feels like it belongs to this point and this place right now. The it's like the image piercing through the mist, and that is to say, really, that uh, because then you begin to take notice, and that's a good place to be when you begin to take notice. Uh, the supporting motion finding its way to the core of your sanctuary, something like that. I don't know what it really means, but what it means is to be active, um, to make sure that the parallel reality is alive. Very important, even if you don't believe in it. I think it's super important. It's like the everlasting embrace. like experience, like some kind of a squeeze, accommodating, and fortunate for you. And you knew there's a way to embrace. You knew there's a way to embrace love through the clearing of a sudden constriction. Is that a word in English? Constriction. And it was just in time, really, and allowing you to stay afloat. And then you begin to recognize your need, and I begin to recognize your need too. And and then you begin to tend to it, which is a good thing also, because you ignored it maybe long enough, and now you're back. And now we anticipating sharing this joy, but this time it's your joy, and that's what makes it special. Um, I don't know why the word brandishing comes to mind, and boxing predictions, something like that. Uh, when you get tired and appealing at the same time in stages, and I have all these kind of words. Okay, don't disappear on me now. Now we want to. Hmm, where are you going? Where are you going? Okay, let's see. Okay, so now this is it.